Get stacked.
Triple threat.
Expected value. Now take what you learn, go out there, and get stacked. Yo, what up, Gripsters and random YouTubers? Evan here for Grips.com, bringing you the exciting conclusion of my Sunday Showdown victory, where I bested a modest field of 183 entrants and took home 8,600 euros. This final installment is going to cover my heads-up match versus Spetsern42, who has put on a very good show thus far. He did most of the dirty work, locking up 6,200 euros for us, and at this point, we're playing for another 2,400 or 12 buy-ins. Just before I get into the video, thumbs up please if you're digging the new replayer. I know I am. I'm setting the line at 500 upward thumbs. Who wants to take the under? Okay, so just before I start running the hands, a little background. I've played a very solid approach to this event, with the exception of three-handed play when we really opened up, and there were a couple of major moves prior to that. Spetsern, on the other hand, has played a very loose game, shown a lot of interest in playing post-flop and applying his ICM pressure advantage. The good part about heads up is that ICM is no longer a consideration. We've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. There are no more pay jumps to worry about. Now, based on the fact that Spetsern seemed very comfortable with his post-flop play and that I don't have a ton of experience playing heads up, I decided that I was going to implement a high variance, pre-flop oriented long ball strategy, which is the opposite of the now very popular small ball style. So it may not be what you expected, but it will be fun, and I remember a couple of really cool hands going down. We've got about 100 hands of heads up to look at, so yeah, let's get this party started. Spetsern opens the button, and he's going to be opening a pretty wide range on the button. I expect him to probably open somewhere between 80% and 100% of hands, and consequently I should be defending like, you know, I don't know, top 50, top 40, top 60, somewhere in there. Here I c-bet because it's a super dry board. He clicks me with the check min raise, pretty much what I expected from this guy, and I wasn't ready to go for that click back just yet. So this is what I talked about, high variance approach, where heads up, I've got a king, I've got under 20 bigs, I'm happy to reshove it in there, and I am happy to reshove with a lot of hands in that spot. Flop mid pair, fire a c-bet. Had we got check raise there for the min, definitely would have been taking another card off, and yeah, gonna be doing lots of reshoving. He's going to be having a very wide button opening range, which means he's going to be folding to my reshoves a ton. And even when he does call, I have a pretty good hand. It's not like I'm going to be reshoving with like 4-2 offsuit. Here with the 8 deuce, just wanted to take my mid pair to showdown. I felt that was a board he might get tricky on, fire some raises and stuff, and I was not looking to play a bloated pot. 5 deuce suited. Looked like I wasn't opening quite as wide a range as Spetsern would be. And in heads-up play, in my opinion, the guy who has more chips, the guy who has a little more room, a little more momentum, can open a slightly wider range than the shorter stacked guy. Yeah. So here with the king-jack, reshoving would have definitely been an option, but this is a hand that dominates a ton of Spetsern's opening range. My hope is that I can flop a good piece of the board and extract a lot of value from a dominated hand. He fires a large c-bet and takes it down. We got a king. We're all in. So I guess we're probably opening like top 50-ish% of hands on the button, which is a slightly tight strategy for heads-up play. But you just look at our chip position. We've got a pretty shallow stack, and I don't want to be raise folding a ton or raising and then folding to check raises after I c-bet. It's a board that's like, you know, I got a gutter and I got a backdoor flush draw. It's one that maybe if we were a bit more deep stacked, I could see continuing on. But once I call that flop bet, I have like 1.5 pot size bets left. I'm pretty committed. Here we're getting amazing odds. about 5 to 1. Definitely got a C3. And we flop bottom pair, which is a piece, but I think I opted to not commit myself on this hand. I'm getting decent odds, but I just didn't want to play for my whole tournament with bottom pair. And you see we're getting shorts, so we widen that open shoving range as well. And we get our first all in and a call. So yeah, we got it in with the worst hand. And I wanted to check our win percentage, but it doesn't show it. Whatever. It's like a 60-40, and now it's 100% in our favor. So things get a little closer. Ace Queen, super premium. Pretty good board for us. And Spetzern's taking his weird line where he just kind of tries to turn my hand face up and then put a lot of pressure. He did a great job here of stealing the lead, and I think we're going to see a lot throughout this heads-up match that Spetzern does a really good job of grabbing the aggression away from me and putting me in really tough spots, like that one there. Not sure I really like how I played that hand, and that probably won't be the only time you hear me say that. Okay, I've switched the stats to show just my heads-up stats, and you can see I played about 50% of hands, was 3-betting 23, and folding to 3-bets 33. Spetzern's stats are not his heads-up stats. There's a filter for that, but we'll get that next time. Can't have everything perfect the first time. Anyway, we got 2 pair, we're getting check raised, and this is a spot where I think we just need to give our man some rope and flat call. There is a chance he hit the board, but he can also be doing this with gutters, flush draws, just bare overcards, and if he has overcards, we want him to improve and catch a piece. Clearly he had one of those and realized the jig was up real fast and shut down with the hand. Had the turn been a little more bricky, like a deuce or a tray of non-spades, I could see me checking back again to just give him a chance to catch something that he could pay me off with on the river, but no dice. So we got the pair, 25 bigs, easy reshove. He's got the jacks, we got the 6 on the flop. Give us that full double, and suddenly we have a 2-to-1 chip lead. Did we deserve it? I don't know. The important thing is we got it. So here we are again getting offered amazing odds, 3-to-1, so we peel, and on this flop, I do not think we will be folding. But he will be. Same theory on this flop as it was with the other one. If the turn had been more bricky, maybe I consider a check there. I was happy to play for stacks at this point with about 1.5 pot size bets left and top pair in a 3-bet pot. Let's go, you know? Let's just get it in the middle and get this thing over with. Ace rags are going to be hands. I'm open shoving on the shallower stack size, 20 big blinds and under. I'm just happy to go for, you know, all the chips. If I take the blinds and antes, cool. If he wakes up with a hand that wants to call me, I have fine equity. I'll probably also be doing that if we get dealt any small pairs when we're 20 big blinds or shallower. Bottom pair backdoor flush draw here. Definitely need to see at least another card. Check raising is also an option. I think if we check raise, we'll probably be priced in to call off the rest, which is probably why I opted not to do that. And here he goes, choosing a fantastic bet size again. My hand looks pretty marginal at best. It looks like a hand that I'm trying to show down for cheap, and he's like, price is 1.4x pots. Not so cheap, and he gets me there. Could he have been bluffing? For sure. But who knows? And that's what I'm happy to play for stacks with. Same with the ace 10. Obviously, with the strongest hands in my range, like that top 20% of hands, I am more than happy to play for stacks. And we see with the hands that are like in that probably 20 to 30% range in the distribution of hands, I am comfortable to play for all of them, but I like to press my fold equity a little bit more because against the range of hands that will reshove, hands like ace 5 do not do as well as hands like ace 10. That's why we're open shoving with the ace rags versus min raising with the ace 10s. With the ace 10s, we're inviting our opponent, Spetzern, to come in and party. Whereas with the ace 5, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you really want to want to come, it's cool, but like we'd rather just take this party solo. And yeah, getting pretty aggro with the shoves, and oh my god, we got aces. Are we gonna get tricky? We are. We're gonna limp, and he's gonna see right through it. But maybe he's hit a piece. And thinking back to this scenario, with the amount of money that's in the pot, I think betting may be the way to go, because if he has a queen, we got to make sure we play for stacks. Not that he's likely to fold a queen if we check back and then raise the river, but just to be safe, we should try to get stacks in there. If we check back and he has a gut shot or a 6 that he peeled the flop with, we may get one bet out on the river. But I think with what we got, we should play for stacks. And I go for another small bet, and 2/3 pot on the end. No dice, so he probably just had a 6. He was definitely a very hero collie type of player. And you'll see later that he makes some thin calls. I think this Jack Deuce was a little light. Probably could have open folded that, but it's hard to fold face cards heads up. If you just think about what the average hand that gets dealt is, face cards almost the mark. It's not actually quite there. King is the mark, Queen 7's the mark. Jack, you want a decent jack, so I think that was a little light on my part. Fire a c-bet on a dry board. Spetsern's having none of it and moves us off on the river. And notice, pay really close attention to Spetsern's bet size. I would encourage watching this video over again just to see the various bet sizes that he used given the situation. A lot of times he bet a really appropriate amount based on what my hand looked like in his eyes. So we're getting nice odds. Peel with the Queen 4 suited. And just give up. You see he's doing a pretty good job of getting back in the match. Probably should have peeled with this. 10-8 off is reasonably strong hand. And we are getting these amazing odds pre-flop, 3-1. It's a hand that can flop top pair a decent amount of the time. Mid pair, lots of straight draws. I think I would have liked to have seen myself peel there if we ran it again. Ace 4, not a good board, but I catch a nice turn, and at this point it's time to go for some streets of value. Hope to get called by a 10, maybe a 9x. So we go for that thinness. And I remember being shocked that he turned over ace queen. This is how much Spetsern loves to play post flop. He did not even 3-bet with a hand as strong as ace queen. And yes, I probably would have taken this one to the felt, because an ace heads up most of the time is going to be the best hand. So I don't know if I got owned in this spot, or he just played his hand in a very unorthodox way and the board came perfect for him to get paid, but I dig it. And now he's up to having that 2-1 chip lead, so we'll just get back to our wide reshoving approach. And it's very important to alter your strategy based on how many big blinds you have and how many big blinds your opponents have. In all situations, it's important to not get fixated on what you had before, and it's important to adjust ASAP to the new stack size. And looking back, it's a good thing that I didn't open shove that ace 4, because I would have lost a lot of chips. Cool. And king 10, the hand is just too good to fold. We started the hand with, well, let's check it. I think it's 17 bigs. Yeah, about 17 Tyrone Bigums. And when he does this, I think the majority of the time he just has a pocket pair. He showed us 2 hands ago that he's not 3-betting ace queen, so he's probably not 3-betting any of his Broadway combos. So this is just a flip like 99% of the time. And with dead money in the middle, the fact that we already have that min raise in there plus the antes, and we just can't afford to pass up a flip, and we're so short anyway that yeah, we're gonna gamble. And he's got 6s and we've got the pair of kings. Back to the lead. Flop a gutter, probably could have led at that. You know, just bet folded. Spetzer hasn't been doing too much clicking on the flop, so I probably could have expected to see a turn there, and if he actually had a strong hand, gotten a lot of straights if I binked my gutter. But we binked a nice little flop here with the top 2 pizzle, and we're just going to go for that values. Here's again check raising the dry board. Again, I think we should probably just call. He could be doing this with any pair and any draw. So if he has a pair, we want to give him a chance to improve. And if he has a draw, well, we want to let him keep last if he doesn't improve. And I love the ace because it's an amazing card for him to keep bluffing on. And it's a card that should scare me when I peel on that flop. So I said, you know what, bro? I'm afraid of that ace. I check. And he took that as, well, then this guy must have a straight draw. Because if I had a 4 or a 5, or even a queen, that I was afraid to bet on that turn, I'm checking back the 4 and the 5, and I might be checking back the queen. So that leaves me value betting a few queens. If I'm trying to think of the only ace I'd have on the flop, the ace 5, ace 4, which I'd probably bet the turn, and ace 3, ace deuce, I might check back. So that's 2 hands. Some amount of combos that have the ace, very few that are value betting the queen. I have all my straight draws, 6-7, 6-3, 3-2 makes a straight. I guess overall I don't have that many bluffs, but because I played the hand the way I did, he thought that I was more likely to be sitting on a bluff than not, and made the hero call with 6-4 suited. So again, know your opponent. If I click the flop back, he's probably done with this hand, and if I bet the turn, he's probably done with this hand. But by checking back and feigning weakness on the turn, I was able to get an extra 4 big blinds out of Spetzer. King 9, we're all in. Let's just play for the max every time. And I decided to incorporate a limping strategy at this point because he was so shallow. I didn't want him to just reshove over my opens when I had the weakest of holdings. So I decided I was going to start limping in with some hands, keep the pot small. I mean, if you look at the pre-flop odds, you get like 3.5 to 1 to limp in, and any hand has that equity against pretty much anything except aces, so it's important to take advantage of those. Here I think I shove. Yeah, don't want to let him see cheap flops. You know, he has that equity, he has that chance of winning, but by shoving the pile in and forcing him to fold, I don't give him the opportunity to realize that equity. And same thing, just shoving it in, shoving it in. Not going to shove in with the very bottom of the range there. Queen 7 is good enough to shove. I guess I felt like maybe he was setting a trap here. So I just decided I was not going to put any chips in that pot. I also had him so short at this point at under 10 big blinds that I didn't want to do anything to let him back in the game. I really wanted to keep him handcuffed. I wanted to keep his options very limited. And yeah, I didn't want to spew any chips to him. Queen 2 suited. Could have peeled there for sure. Don't really know why I didn't. I guess I didn't want to, you know, quote unquote cooler myself, but probably should have just called and continued on the best of flops. And here we flop quite nice. Question is how to extract the most value. We haven't led at anything yet, so why lead now? Hopefully let him catch a piece. And ooh, we went for that double check raise. Sexy. Not much extra value, but hey, it looked cool. And here I go, maybe going a bit too wide with my shoves and getting caught, but hey, I have like a 40% chance of ending the tournament here, or maybe it's 37. Y'all can stove it if you want. Unfortunately, I didn't make my hand, but I still have a 2-to-1 chip lead, so I don't mind it. It's okay to go a little light with your shoves if you have a chance to just end it, and even worst case, you still have a lead. The more confident you are in your post-flop play, the less you would want to take those high variance spots. But likewise, even if you are really confident in your post-flop play, that means you have the confidence that you can grind your opponent back down even if they do get a little bit of chips back. So the main thing to look at is how much flexibility your opponent is going to get back if they wake up with a hand and double through you, And as long as the answer is not too much, you can get pretty aggressive with those heads up shoves. Here, I think we probably have the best hand. And I went for that min bet, but he didn't want to give me my thin value. He wanted to put me in a really shitty spot, and it worked. Well read by him. And we see a flop here with queens. He leads for min, which makes me think that I probably have the best hand, and it's kind of him doing what he's been doing a lot of, which is trying to take control of the action. And I accepted that my hand would play pretty good at the showdown, and I just said, all right, bro, if you want to have the lead, it's fine. I'm going to call and make my hand look as weak as possible. I'm trying to make it look like a 9, maybe an ace high, so that if he is semi-bluffing, he will keep bluffing, and if he's trying to value bet thin, although I doubt that's what's going on, I encourage him to value bet as thin as he wants. And he fires out the third barrel, about 60% pot. I pretty much decided on the flop I wasn't going to fold this hand, especially with how he's been playing. So I look him up. He has the double gutter, and it makes sense for the way he played it, pressing that fold equity to boost up his chances of winning on top of his pot equity. And we're back to having a massive chip lead. Blinds are up. He's down to 7 bigs. So at this point, it's pretty straightforward decisions. Just pile it in when we get dealt an above average hand and call his shoves when we have a much above average hand. No free flops, of course, unless we have like a 2-3 offsuit. We'll just jam it in. And here he shoves for the 5 bigs. You know, we only need 40% equity. King high, I'll take it. He's got the 5-6. We actually haven't dominated. And boom, that is a GG. Mr. Gripst just got stacking. And I'm really happy that I reviewed this, because in the moment of playing this tournament, I just remember being like, man, the Spetzner guy's sick. Like, he's playing so good. I was looking at from the final table bubble onward. This guy played really incredible. And I thought about the hands heads up, that I hit the 2-outer, and then I also won the key 60-40s. So I felt like, oh man, like I totally got owned and just outlucked that guy, and that's how I won. In truth, yes, I did run extremely well heads up, and I ran quite pure on the final table. But I feel like I played pretty well in this heads up match, and it's nice to look back and see that, yeah, I actually did play pretty good, because I thought I just totally boxed it. And the hands where I did suck out, I still feel were pretty standard hands. And I don't think it's like I should have played them differently. I just happened to be on the wrong end of the cooler pre-flop, and it turned out it was a good cooler for me at the end. So that is how you can play. Tag early, lag late, and pretty frickin' maniacal heads up to take down Sunday Major. Obviously, you have to run well, but playing well, minimizing the amount of variance and luck required to get that victory is a very useful component in giving yourself the best chance to achieve those results you desire at a high frequency. So that's going to wrap up the series. I really hope you enjoyed it and were able to learn a thing or two. Again, if you dig this new replayer, if you dig these new card backs, oh, you didn't get to see them because we're playing heads up. Well, I'll just tell you in the next replayer, the card backs look fucking sick too. So be excited for even more awesomeness. I'll bring you another one next week. Quick heads up, Free Money Friday is canceled this week. We will not be running Free Money Friday for the month of June unless you guys convince me you want it that bad. So no home games on Stars. But this Saturday, I will be hosting a live question and answer session on Twitch at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. That's somewhere between 8 and 10 p.m. Euro time. Depends which part of Europe you live in. So, you know, the closer you live to me in Canada, the closer it's going to be to 8 o'clock. And the farther away you live from me, the closer it's going to be to 10 o'clock starting time. I'll be on the air for about an hour, just catching up with y'all. So if you want to know a bit more about what's going on with the Lucky 7, which is now underway and had a decent turnout the first week, I expect much bigger numbers next week, but hey, it's going. People are working on winning that piece of me in the main event. Or if you just want to hang out, or if you have any questions that you want to ask me, this is your opportunity. So join us at twitch.tv/Gripst at the time that I mentioned. I'll put a little annotation too so you can see it. And please leave me your questions and comments. I look forward to your guys' feedback. It's been a real pleasure sharing one of my own hand histories. It's been a while, and I'm just totally digging the feedback so far, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about this one as well. So thank you. That's going to do it for me. I wish you a wonderful weekend, and all the way through, you know what to do. Take what you've learned, go out there, and get stacking.
Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking.
Stack it up, cash it in, damn I win again. Many friends come to play, cause I'm on the internet. Better yet, I flop the turn and take a chance upon the river. I'll bluff you with the 7-2 offsuit, whatever's clever, call you all in while your chip stacks falling. Better believe the dealer, cause the game just started. Don't know the rules, you bet it all and then you risk it. If you wanna learn it, you should go online and hit up Gripsit.
Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Ever since a young cat, want a pocket stack with cash in the fast stack, crammed in the clam clip. Gotta get the action, gotta get it stacking. Dollars on the noggin, want a lot of transactions. Started as a little retarded, now with the knowledge, playing cards, flopping, bombarded, cause it was harder than I thought. Then I got on Grips.com, asking and got what I needed to beat him and get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com taught you how to get it stacking.